The roar of 1,000 motorcycles shattered the dawn silence as they surrounded the bridge. Beneath it, a homeless teenager slept, unaware that his brave act had set something unstoppable in motion, but no one could have imagined what would come next. Before we dive into today's incredible story, if you believe in the power of unexpected heroes and second chances, please hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us bring more of these amazing true stories to light. The question cut through the humid August air in Chicago's underground, hanging between Tyler Quinn and the well-dressed man who'd just entered the metro station. At 17, Tyler had mastered the art of being simultaneously visible and invisible in the city's transit system. His sandy hair fell across intelligent eyes that had seen too much, and his lean frame carried only what hardship had left him: stubborn determination and quick reflexes. The businessman ignored him, checking his watch impatiently while standing on the nearly empty platform. Tyler shrugged, sliding his skateboard back and forth beneath his worn sneakers. Another night, another unsuccessful attempt at panhandling. His stomach growled, reminding him that the half-eaten sandwich he'd found earlier wasn't enough. "Your loss," Tyler muttered, pushing himself up from the bench. That's when he noticed them. 3 men entering the station, moving with predatory purpose. Something in their synchronized movements triggered Tyler's survival instincts. They wore dark hoodies, despite the summer heat, hands suspiciously tucked in pockets. The businessman, solidly built with a grey-streaked beard and leather jacket despite the warm evening, seemed oblivious, focused on his phone. Tyler tensed as the men spread out, creating a trap formation he'd seen before. The platform was eerily empty at this late hour, the security guard nowhere to be seen. "Hey, man!" Tyler called out, his voice echoing through the station. "You dropped something." The businessman looked up, confused but momentarily distracted. It was enough. As the first attacker lunged forward, Tyler's skateboard was already sailing through the air, striking him squarely in the chest. The man stumbled backward with a surprised grunt, giving Tyler enough time to close the distance. "Run!" Tyler shouted to the businessman, who was now fully alert, eyes widening as he registered the danger. Instead of fleeing, the older man stepped forward, fists clenching. "Behind you, kid!" he barked. Tyler ducked instinctively as a knife slashed the air where his head had been a moment before. Years of street fighting took over. He swept his leg out, catching his attacker off balance. The third man rushed the businessman, who moved with surprising agility for his age, catching the attacker's arm and twisting it until something cracked. The station erupted into chaos, a blur of fists, grunts, and the clatter of Tyler's recovered skateboard being wielded as a shield. Blood pounded in his ears as survival instinct took over. "Police!" someone shouted from the entrance. The attackers scattered like cockroaches in sudden light. Tyler, operating on pure instinct, melted into the shadows behind a support column. He watched as the businessman straightened his jacket, seemingly unfazed except for a small cut above his eyebrow. Their eyes met across the platform. The man nodded once, a gesture of respect that Tyler rarely received. For a moment, something passed between them, recognition, perhaps, of kindred spirits who understood survival. Then sirens wailed in the distance, and Tyler did what he'd perfected over 3 years of homelessness. He disappeared. He slipped through the emergency exit, skateboard tucked under his arm, and vanished into the labyrinth of Chicago's streets, unaware that the man he'd just helped was James Baron Miller, vice president of the Hells Angels Chicago chapter. Unaware that his simple act of courage had been witnessed by someone who never forgot a debt. As he curled up that night in his hidden spot beneath Lower Wacker Drive, Tyler couldn't know that hundreds of miles away, phones were ringing, messages flowing, and a brotherhood was mobilizing. He couldn't know that by saving one life, he had set in motion events that would transform his own. That night, Tyler dreamt of his mother, her gentle hands, her smile before the cancer took her, and of the stepfather whose abuse had driven him to the streets at 14. In his dreams, he was running, always running, But tonight, for the first time in years, something different awaited him at the dream's end. Not darkness, but distant thunder. The thunder of motorcycles. Baron Miller pressed an ice pack to his bruised knuckles as he surveyed the gathered members of the Chicago Hells Angels chapter. 23 hardened men filled the clubhouse, their attention absolute as he recounted the events at the metro station. "Kid came out of nowhere," Baron said, his gravelly voice carrying across the room. "Couldn't have been more than 17, skinny as a rail, but moved like he'd been fighting his whole life. Without him, I might not be standing here." Hawk, the chapter president, leaned forward in his chair, his weathered face thoughtful beneath his grey beard. Description: sandy hair, blue eyes, maybe 5'10", skateboard with red wheels, homeless from the looks of him. Baron paused. He disappeared before I could thank him properly. Silence fell over the room as Hawk stood slowly, his massive frame commanding attention. At 62, he remained an imposing figure, a Vietnam veteran whose leadership had transformed their chapter from outlaws into a community force that retained its edge while building legitimate businesses. "We find him," Hawk declared, his tone leaving no room for debate. "No one helps a brother and sleeps on the street, not on our watch." Nods of agreement rippled through the room. What outsiders never understood about the club was this. Beneath the intimidating exterior beat a fierce devotion to their code, loyalty, honor, brotherhood, debt repaid. "Doc!" Hawk pointed to a younger member with a medical background. "You're with me and Baron. The rest of you, spread through the city, every shelter, every underpass, every place a kid might hide. Call in favors from the other chapters. I want eyes everywhere by morning." The meeting adjourned with purpose, men breaking into groups, maps unfolded across tables as they divided the city into search grids. In the corner, Baron made a call he rarely placed. "Archangel, it's Miller. I'm calling in that favor from Detroit." 2 hours later, Tyler startled awake, heart pounding. Something had disturbed his sleep, a presence nearby. He reached for the small knife he kept close, eyes straining in the darkness beneath the bridge. "Easy, kid," a woman's voice, calm but firm. "If we meant harm, you'd never have woken up." Tyler scrambled to his feet as a flashlight clicked on, revealing a slim figure in a leather jacket. Behind her stood 2 men, their silhouettes massive against the night sky. "Who are you?" Tyler demanded, knife still clutched in his hand. "Friends of the man you helped tonight," the woman replied. "I'm Angel. This is Doc and Tiny." She gestured to her companions. "We've been looking for you." "I didn't steal anything," Tyler said, automatically backing away. The largest man, ironically named Tiny, chuckled. "Nobody said you did, son. We came to thank you." "Thank me." Confusion replaced fear in Tyler's voice. Angel stepped closer, her face coming into the light. She was older than Tyler initially thought, maybe 40, with intelligent eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "The man you helped is our brother, our family. Baron wants to meet you properly." "I don't want trouble," Tyler said warily. "You're not in trouble," Doc spoke for the first time, his voice surprisingly gentle. "But you're hungry, aren't you? And those ribs need looking at." Tyler unconsciously touched his side where one of the attackers had landed a solid kick. "How did you—" "I'm a paramedic," Doc explained, "and you're favoring your right side. Come with us. Food, medical attention, and a conversation. That's all. You're free to leave any time." Trust didn't come easily to Tyler. Life had taught him better, but something in Angel's direct gaze reminded him of his mother before she got sick. Honesty, strength. "1 meal," he conceded, lowering the knife. "That's it." Angel nodded, respecting his caution. "1 meal, our treat." The diner was open 24 hours, its fluorescent lights harsh against the night. Tyler devoured 3 cheeseburgers, fries, and a chocolate shake, while his unusual companions watched with quiet approval. Only when he finished did Doc gently examine his ribs, confirming they were bruised, but not broken. "Baron's a big deal in your club?" Tyler asked between bites of apple pie, his first dessert in months. "Vice President," Tiny confirmed. "But more than that, he's our brother, been through hell and back with us. So why the interest in me? I just did what anyone would do. Angel's laugh was short and sharp. Kid, in case you haven't noticed, most people don't do what you did. They look away. They mind their business. They definitely don't throw themselves at armed men to help a stranger. Tyler shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. I've seen enough bad stuff happen when people look away. Something changed in Angel's expression, recognition perhaps. Where's your family, Tyler? The question hit harder than the kicks he'd taken earlier. Don't have one. Mom died when I was 14. Stepdad made it clear I wasn't welcome after that. 3 years on the streets, Doc observed quietly. How'd you manage school? Library computers, online courses when I can. Tyler's chin lifted slightly. I'm still enrolled, technically, just independent study. The three exchanged glances that Tyler couldn't interpret. Then Angel leaned forward. Baron wants to offer you something. A chance. No strings attached. She pushed a card across the table. Come to this address tomorrow at noon. Hear him out. If you're not interested, you walk away with no hard feelings. Tyler studied the card. An address in a decent part of town. What's the catch? No catch, Tiny rumbled. Just one brother recognizing another. After they dropped him back at his spot, respecting his refusal to reveal where he actually slept, Tyler sat awake for hours, turning the card over and over in his fingers. Brotherhood, family, words that had lost meaning long ago. He shouldn't go. He knew better than to trust sudden kindness. Yet as dawn broke over Chicago, Tyler found himself gathering his meager possessions into his backpack. Just to check it out, he told himself. Just to see. He couldn't have known that across the city a movement was building, that phones were lighting up across state lines, that the rumble of motorcycles was growing louder by the hour. By noon, Tyler stood across the street from the address on the card, scrutinizing the building with suspicion. It wasn't what he'd expected, not a bar or some shady clubhouse, but a respectable-looking auto repair shop with Miller & Sons custom motorcycles emblazoned across the front in professional lettering. Several gleaming Harleys were parked outside, their chrome catching the midday sun. Tyler hesitated, years of street-honed caution battling curiosity. He watched as customers, regular people, entered and exited, their interactions with the staff seeming perfectly normal. You gonna stand there all day, or are you coming in? Tyler startled. Baron stood in the doorway of the shop, arms crossed over his broad chest. Without the tension of the previous night, Tyler could better appreciate the man's commanding presence. Tall and solid, with intelligent eyes that missed nothing. The cut above his eyebrow had been neatly bandaged. Still making up my mind, Tyler answered honestly. Baron nodded, respecting the response. Smart. Never walk into a situation without checking all the angles first. He gestured toward the shop. But I promise you, no one in there wants anything except to say thank you, and maybe feed you again. Angel mentioned you can put away food like nobody's business. Despite himself, Tyler smiled slightly. His stomach growled at the mention of food. 15 minutes, Baron offered. Then you can walk if you want. 15 minutes, Tyler agreed, crossing the street. Inside, the shop was immaculate. A professional operation with several mechanics working on custom motorcycles. Baron led him through to a back office, where a simple lunch spread waited on a conference table. Sandwiches, chips, fruit, and sodas. Help yourself, Baron said, taking a seat. Most of the guys are out working, which I figured might make this easier for you. Tyler hesitated only briefly before loading a plate. As he ate, Baron spoke casually about the business, founded 15 years ago, now one of the most respected custom shops in the Midwest. Tyler listened, guard still up, but increasingly curious. So what's this chance Angel mentioned? He finally asked. Baron leaned forward, all pretense of casual conversation gone. A job. Apprenticeship, really. You'd learn motorcycle mechanics from the ground up, room and board included in the apartment above the shop. Legitimate paycheck, benefits, everything above board. Tyler's sandwich stopped halfway to his mouth. Why? Because you stepped up when nobody else would? Because you've got character. You don't know me. I know enough, Baron countered. I know you're smart enough to survive 3 years on your own. I know you didn't hesitate to help a stranger. And I know talent when I see it. Tyler set down his food, suspicion returning. What's the real angle here? Nobody just does this. Baron's expression sobered. 20 years ago I was you. Different circumstances, same result. Young, alone, nowhere to go. A man named Hawk found me sleeping in his garage after I broke in looking for tools to sell. Instead of calling the cops, he offered me a job. He gestured around them. Now I'm a partner in a 7-figure business with shops in 3 states. When Tyler remained silent, Baron continued, You don't have to answer now, but there's something else you should see. He led Tyler to a window overlooking the back lot of the shop. There, a teenage girl with pink-streaked hair was meticulously detailing a vintage Harley, her focus absolute. That's Maya, my daughter, adopted technically. Found her 4 years ago, living in an abandoned building after escaping an abusive foster home. Now she's finishing high school with straight A's and has a full scholarship to engineering school next fall. Tyler watched the girl work, something unfamiliar and painful twisting in his chest. So this is what, your personal rescue mission? Baron's response was unexpectedly sharp. This isn't charity, kid. It's investment. Maya earns her keep. She's the best detail specialist we have. Customers request her by name. The room we're offering you isn't free either. You'll work hard, learn the trade, earn your place. And the catch? Tyler pressed, unable to believe it could be this simple. The catch is, you have to want it, really want it. Commit to the program, stay clean, finish school. This isn't a halfway house. It's a future, if you got the guts to build it. Before Tyler could respond, the door opened and an imposing older man entered. Even without introduction, Tyler knew this must be Hawk. The presence was unmistakable, an aura of natural authority wrapped in a weathered exterior. So this is our young hero, Hawk said, extending a calloused hand. Hawk Donnelly. Tyler shook the offered hand, finding himself standing straighter almost involuntarily. Tyler Quinn. Baron tells me you've got heart. That's rare these days. I just did what needed doing, Tyler replied. Hawk's eyes, piercing despite his age, seemed to look straight through him. That's exactly my point. He turned to Baron. Everything set for this afternoon? Baron nodded. Starts at 4. What starts at 4? Tyler asked, glancing between them. A proper thank you, Hawk replied cryptically. You've heard our offer. Take the day to think about it. But I hope you'll join us at Millennium Park at 4 o'clock. Tyler left the shop 30 minutes later with more questions than answers, a full stomach and a business card with Hawk's personal number. As promised, no one tried to stop him, though Baron watched from the doorway as he walked away. For hours, Tyler wandered the city, his mind in turmoil. The offer seemed too good to be true, which in his experience meant it probably was. Yet there had been no pressure. No suspicious requests. Just an opportunity extended, with a directness he found oddly comforting. At 3:30 p.m., curiosity won out. He headed toward Millennium Park, telling himself he was just going to observe from a distance. The rumble reached him before he saw anything. A deep, visceral vibration that seemed to come from everywhere at once. As he crested the hill overlooking the park, Tyler froze in disbelief. Motorcycles, hundreds of them. No, 1,000 at least, their engines creating a thunderous symphony as they lined up in perfect formation. Riders in leather cuts bearing the Hells Angels insignia stood at attention beside their bikes, forming a corridor that stretched the length of the park. In the center stood Baron, Hawk, and a cluster of other officers from various chapters. And beside them, on a platform hastily erected for the occasion, was an unexpected sight. Mayor Richards himself, looking simultaneously intimidated and impressed by the assembly before him. Tyler hung back, watching in confusion as Hawk stepped up to a microphone. Brothers and sisters, his voice boomed across the park, we gather today to honor a code as old as our brotherhood. The code that says no debt goes unpaid, no courage goes unrecognized, and no brother stands alone. The crowd responded with a roar of approval, revving engines in unison. 3 nights ago, one of our own faced certain harm. And when the world looked away, a young man with nothing to gain and everything to lose stepped forward. Tyler's heart pounded as he realized what was happening. This was about him. All of this, the massive gathering, the formality, the public recognition, was for a simple act he'd performed without thinking. "Tyler Quinn," Hawk called out, scanning the crowd, "step forward and be recognized by your brothers." Tyler remained frozen in place, overwhelmed. This wasn't just a thank you. It was a ceremony, a public declaration, something sacred to these men and women who lived by a code he was only beginning to understand. Then through the crowd, Angel appeared at his side. "You don't have to," she said quietly, "but they mean it, every one of them. This isn't for show." In that moment, looking at the assembled brotherhood, mechanics, veterans, fathers, sons, united by something stronger than blood, Tyler made his decision. With Angel at his side, he walked forward to meet his future. What he couldn't know, as the crowd parted to let him through, was that this day would be remembered long after in Hell's Angels lore. That the story of the homeless kid who saved Baron Miller would be told and retold across chapters nationwide. That his journey from that moment forward would change not only his life, but the lives of countless others. He couldn't know that the thunder of 1,000 motorcycles was just the beginning. The roar of 1,000 motorcycles fell silent as Tyler reached the center. Standing beside Hawk and Baron, he felt small, a street kid surrounded by leather-clad figures whose combined presence commanded the entire park. Mayor Richards cleared his throat. "On behalf of Chicago, I thank these, organized motorcycle enthusiasts, for this demonstration of community spirit." A ripple of amused chuckles spread through the crowd as the mayor continued, "Acts of courage like Mr. Quinn's remind us heroes come from all walks of life." Tyler's focus narrowed to the faces around him, welcoming, respectful. A sea of individuals bound by something he couldn't yet name but instinctively recognized. Hawk stepped forward. "Tyler Quinn, the Hell's Angels acknowledge your courage. Without thought for your safety, you defended our brother when others turned away." He extended a weathered hand, holding a small object. "This coin marks you as a friend of our club in every chapter. Any door, any time." Tyler accepted the heavy silver coin emblazoned with the club's insignia. Not membership, he understood that much, but recognition, acceptance. "I don't know what to say," he admitted. "You don't need to say anything," Baron replied, "but there is something else we'd like to offer." At Baron's gesture, a rider moved forward with a motorcycle unlike anything Tyler had ever seen. Gleaming black with red accents, the vintage Harley looked magnificent. "This is yours," Baron said simply. "Your first project if you accept our offer." Tyler stared, speechless. In 17 years, no one had given him anything of value. He stepped toward the bike, hand outstretched but hesitant. "Go ahead," Hawk encouraged. "She's solid." The leather seat was cool beneath Tyler's fingers. Something tightened in his throat. "I can't accept this. It's too much." Baron's voice was soft. "It's not charity, kid. It's investment in who you could become." Before Tyler could respond, police cruisers arrived. Captain Reynolds of Chicago PD approached, the crowd parting silently. "Quite a turnout, Donnelly." "Special occasion, Reynolds." The captain's gaze shifted to Tyler. "So you're the young man from the station incident. 3 armed suspects apprehended thanks to security footage." He studied Tyler. "Quinn, isn't it? You've been in our system as a missing person for almost 3 years." The world tilted beneath Tyler's feet. "That's not possible. My stepfather reported you missing the day after you left," Reynolds finished. "Filed a report claiming you'd taken family valuables." Baron's hand steadied Tyler as the implications sank in. "The charges were suspicious," Reynolds continued. "No specifics on what was allegedly stolen." His expression softened. "Some officers believed it was a cover." "It was," Tyler said flatly. Reynolds nodded. "Well, now that we've found you, there are protocols. Social services, potential foster placement. He has placement, Hawke interrupted, producing a folder. Legal apprenticeship program, all signed this morning. Reynolds reviewed the documents. Everything appears in order, though acceptance is entirely voluntary. Tyler found his voice. It's my choice, and I choose to stay. Something like approval flickered across the captain's face. One more thing, there's still the matter of the stolen property report. Tyler's stomach clenched. Fortunately, the statute of limitations expires after 3 years in Illinois. That period ended last week. With a nod that might have been a smile, Captain Reynolds departed. The crowd erupted in cheers. Barron squeezed Tyler's shoulder. "Welcome home, kid." 6 weeks passed in a blur. Tyler moved into the apartment above the shop, a comfortable space with actual furniture and a refrigerator perpetually stocked by Angel, Barron's right hand and Maya's surrogate mother figure. Each morning, Tyler woke to the sound of motorcycles, now comforting in its reliability. By 8 a.m., he was in the shop, learning everything from basic maintenance to custom builds. Afternoons split between shop work and GED courses. The nightmares came less frequently, dreams of running gradually replaced by fragments of belonging. Today, Tyler was alone in the shop when the bell jingled. "Be right with you," he called, wiping grease from his hands. "Take your time," a female voice replied. "Just browsing." Tyler emerged to find a girl about his age examining custom gas tanks. She wore jeans and a faded band t-shirt, dark hair in a practical ponytail. "Can I help you find something?" Tyler asked. She looked up with intelligent brown eyes. "Just looking for inspiration. I'm Ellie." "Mechanical side. Still learning," Tyler explained after introductions. "My dad's bike needs a new exhaust. Nothing fancy, just functional." "What's he riding?" "78 Shovelhead. Been in the family forever." As they discussed possibilities, Tyler relaxed. Ellie knew motorcycles with practical understanding. "You're not what I expected," Ellie said suddenly. "From a Hell's Angels shop?" Tyler guessed. "They saved my life, literally." Curiosity bloomed in her expression. "That sounds like a story. Maybe another time." "About that exhaust system." "He doesn't know I'm here," Ellie admitted. "His hours got cut at the plant. The bike's his only joy, but he says it can wait." Tyler made a decision. "Let me talk to Barron. We might work something out." The shop door burst open. A man in his 50s stood there, face flushed with anger. "Eleanor Marie Cooper. What are you doing in this place?" "Dad, I was just getting out now." His gaze swept over the shop with contempt before landing on Tyler. "Stay away from my daughter. I know what goes on in places like this." "Dad, stop! Tyler was helping me look at parts for your bike, as a surprise." Her father's expression darkened. "I don't want anything from these people." As Ellie was practically dragged out, she looked back with apologetic eyes. That evening, Tyler recounted what happened. Barron and Hawke exchanged glances. "Cooper works at Midwest Manufacturing?" Tyler shrugged. She didn't say, just that his hours were cut. Hawke's expression grew somber. "Plant's closing. 300 workers getting laid off next month." Tyler hesitated. "Is there anything we can do?" Barron raised an eyebrow. "What did you have in mind?" "Maybe offer free maintenance for workers affected by the layoff. As a community thing?" The tension dissolved into relieved chuckles. "That's not a bad idea," Barron said. "Community outreach. Good for business, good for the club's image, and good for people who need it," Tyler added firmly. As they brainstormed details, Tyler found himself wondering about Ellie, knowing somehow their paths would cross again. The Solidarity Service Special proved successful. Within 2 weeks, the shop filled daily with grateful workers, bringing in motorcycles they couldn't otherwise maintain. Tyler was changing oil when Maya burst in. "Turn on the news!" Barron emerged as Angel switched on the television. Local news was broadcasting from Midwest Manufacturing, where workers had gathered outside. The camera zoomed in on a man chained to the fence. "That's Ellie's dad," Tyler said. The reporter narrated, "Workers protesting the sudden closure. Management announced operations would cease immediately rather than in 4 weeks, leaving workers without severance packages." The camera showed police arriving in riot gear. "This is bad," Hawk muttered, reaching for his phone. Over the next hour, the situation deteriorated. Workers refused to disperse, police established a perimeter, and tensions rose. Cooper became the spokesperson for the protesters, his anger channeled into demands for the promised severance. "Where's Ellie?" Tyler asked. As if in answer, his phone buzzed. "This is Ellie. Things are getting bad. Dad won't leave. Police looking aggressive. Not sure what to do." Tyler showed the message to Baron, who immediately grabbed his keys. "Let's go. Angel, call the others. Peaceful presence. No colors, no trouble." Within 15 minutes, Tyler found himself approaching the plant alongside Baron, Hawk, and a dozen riders, all in plain clothes. The scene was chaos. Tyler spotted Ellie, her expression tight with worry, as she watched her father facing off against riot police. "Ellie!" Tyler called. Relief washed over her face. "They're going to arrest him." "They've already taken 3 others." Baron stepped forward. "Where's the plant manager?" Ellie pointed to a suit inside the perimeter. "The one in the blue tie. Dad says he promised them 4 more weeks, then changed everything overnight." Hawk pulled out his phone and called Captain Reynolds, mentioning suspicious financial filings that might interest the SEC. Within 30 minutes, the dynamic shifted dramatically. Reynolds arrived with detectives. The executives were engaged in intense conversations, their expressions increasingly concerned. More motorcycles began arriving, dozens, then scores, parking in disciplined formation. No colors, but their presence unmistakable. These workers are not alone. Tyler and Baron reached Cooper, who regarded them with suspicion. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "Supporting workers," Baron replied. "Same as you." "Dad," Ellie interjected, "they came to help. All these riders, they responded to one call to stand with you." Cooper's resistance faltered as he took in the scene. Hundreds of motorcyclists standing shoulder to shoulder with factory workers, creating a unified front. "Why?" he asked Baron directly. "Because that's what community does. We're all part of it, whether you like us or not." Captain Reynolds approached. "Mr. Cooper, remove those chains. There won't be arrests today." He lowered his voice. "The company has some explaining to do about accounting and labor violations." As the chains came off, the barrier of prejudice Cooper had maintained fell away too. He looked at the riders surrounding him, protective rather than threatening. "I misjudged you," he said finally, extending his hand to Baron. Baron accepted the handshake. "Your exhaust system needs work. Bring it by the shop tomorrow. On the house." As the standoff de-escalated, workers and riders mingled. Tyler found himself standing with Ellie. "How did this happen?" she asked. "One text and all these people showed up." Tyler watched as Maya distributed water, as Angel coordinated with riders, as Hawk spoke with former adversaries. "Family," he said simply. "Not what most people think it is, but what it should be." Ellie's hand found his, warm and certain. "I'd like to learn more about that." As the sun set over the factory, Tyler realized something profound had shifted, not just for the workers who would receive their severance, or for Cooper, who had found unexpected allies, or for Ellie and himself. The transformation was within himself. Tyler Quinn had found his place, not as someone rescued, but as someone who could help rescue others. In the distance, motorcycles started their engines, a thunder of solidarity that would be remembered in the stories of both the Hells Angels and the community they helped save. Not outlaws, but brothers, not dangerous, but protective. Family, in the truest sense of the word.